Historians and researchers have long debated whether this pre-flood civilization was purely mythological or actually existed, suggesting remnants of Plato's destroyed civilization could be found at the South Pole.
The legend of Atlantis, a magnificent island civilization swallowed by the sea, has captivated imaginations for millennia. What if this lost paradise wasn't just a myth? What if its remains lie hidden, not in the Atlantic or Mediterranean as long supposed, but beneath miles of ice at the bottom of the world? It's a startling idea linking Plato's ancient tale to the frozen continent of Antarctica.
Approximately 13,000 years ago, that flourishing civilization establishing its presence in Antarctica was flash frozen. We actually have ancient evidence of this in the form of Plato's dialogues, where he talks about the last days of Atlantis.
This journey explores the theories, the tantalizing hints in old maps and satellite images, and the scientific realities surrounding the possibility that Atlantis awaits rediscovery under the Antarctic ice. Before we can seriously entertain the notion of Atlantis beneath the Antarctic ice, we need to understand what we're actually looking for. Our primary source, the blueprint if you will, comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, specifically in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, written around 360 BCE. While many scholars today view Atlantis as a fictional allegory created by Plato to illustrate his philosophical points about ideal states and the hubris of powerful nations, the descriptions he provided have fueled centuries of searching for a real place. Plato, relaying a story supposedly passed down from the Athenian lawgiver Solon, who heard it from Egyptian priests, described Atlantis as a formidable naval power situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. This immediately places it in the context of the ancient Greek world, somewhere out in the Atlantic Ocean. He paints a picture of an island larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined, suggesting a vast landmass, perhaps even a continent. This empire wasn't just large, it was incredibly advanced for its time, some 9,000 years before Solon's visit to Egypt, placing its existence around 9,600 BCE. The structure of Atlantis' capital city was unique and memorable, a central hill, surrounded by concentric rings of land and water connected by bridges and canals large enough for ships to pass through. The land was rich, supporting abundant agriculture and wildlife, including elephants. The Atlanteans were master engineers and architects, building magnificent temples adorned with precious metals like gold, silver, and the mysterious orichalcum, described as flashing with a fiery light. They possessed a powerful military and ruled over other islands and parts of the continents bordering the Atlantic. Plato placed Atlantis beyond the Pillars of Hercules, seemingly in the Atlantic. Antarctica obviously is at the South Pole. How could a civilization supposedly flourishing in a temperate climate suddenly find itself buried under miles of ice at the bottom of the world? This is where a controversial geological theory enters the picture: Earth crust displacement, most famously championed by Professor Charles Hapgood in his 1958 book, Earth's Shifting Crust, which even caught the attention and garnered a foreword from Albert Einstein. It's crucial to distinguish Hapgood's theory from the widely accepted theory of plate tectonics and continental drift. Plate tectonics describes the slow movement of large plates making up the Earth's crust, moving centimeters per year over millions of years, driven by convection currents in the mantle beneath. Hapgood's idea was far more dramatic. He proposed that the entire outer shell, or lithosphere of the Earth, could sometimes slip or shift as a whole over the softer, semi-liquid layer beneath it, the asthenosphere. Imagine the skin of an orange suddenly sliding over the fruit inside, while the fruit continues spinning normally on its axis. What could cause such a massive shift? Hapgood speculated that the immense weight of polar ice caps growing unevenly could create an imbalance in the planet's rotation. Eventually, the centrifugal forces could become strong enough to cause the crust to break loose and slide, moving formerly temperate or tropical regions towards the poles and polar regions towards the equator, all relatively quickly, perhaps over thousands of years rather than the millions involved in continental drift. According to Hapgood's calculations, such displacements might have happened multiple times in Earth's history, perhaps 3 times in the last 100,000 years, with the last major shift occurring around 11,600 years ago, 9,600 BCE, intriguingly close to the date Plato gave for Atlantis' destruction. Ancient maps and icy coasts. If Antarctica was once Atlantis, situated in a warmer climate before a potential crustal shift buried it under ice, is there any evidence that ancient peoples knew about it before its modern discovery in the 19th century, and perhaps even knew what its coastline looked like without the ice? This question brings us to the fascinating and highly debated realm of anomalous ancient maps. The most famous of these is undoubtedly the Piri Reis map. Created by Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis in 1513, only a fragment of this world map survives today. It depicts parts of Europe, Africa, the Atlantic Ocean, and the coast of the Americas with remarkable accuracy for its time. Piri Reis himself noted on the map that he compiled it from numerous older source maps, including some allegedly captured from Christopher Columbus. What makes the map particularly controversial is its depiction of the southern landmass. Some researchers, notably Charles Hapgood again in his book Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, interpreted the lower portion of the map not as a distorted South America, but as a surprisingly accurate depiction of the coast of Queen Maud Land in Antarctica, specifically the Princess Martha Coast. The truly startling claim is that the map appears to show this coastline free of ice. Hapgood argued that this couldn't be a lucky guess or a fantasy. The depicted coastline, he contended, matched subglacial topography revealed much later by seismic surveys conducted in the mid-20th century, like the Swedish-British Antarctic Expedition of 1949. He even received a letter from a US Air Force lieutenant colonel involved in mapping the area who found the claim reasonable and the agreement between the map and seismic data very remarkable. This led Hapgood to theorize that the Piri Reis map was based on far more ancient source maps, possibly originating from a lost maritime civilization like Atlantis that possessed advanced geographical knowledge and mapped Antarctica before or during a period when it was partially or wholly ice-free. Anomalies from above. What satellites see. With the advent of satellite imagery and platforms like Google Earth, anyone can become an armchair explorer, scrutinizing even the most remote corners of our planet. Antarctica, vast and largely inaccessible, has become a prime target for this digital exploration, leading to numerous claims of strange, artificial-looking structures peeking through the ice. Potential evidence, some argue, of lost civilizations. The most persistent of these claims revolve around pyramid-like shapes. Several prominent examples have circulated online, often accompanied by coordinates allowing users to view them directly. One frequently cited pyramid, around 79 degrees 58 minutes south, 81 degrees 57 minutes west, is located in the Ellsworth Mountains, Antarctica's highest mountain range. Satellite images show a strikingly symmetrical four-sided peak rising above the ice sheet. Its resemblance to the pyramids of Egypt is undeniable from certain angles, fueling speculation that it must be man-made, perhaps an outpost or monument left by Atlanteans or another ancient culture that inhabited Antarctica when it was ice-free. Other anomalies reported include features resembling walls, rectangular structures, and even alleged entrances or openings in the ice or rock faces. However, the scientific community offers a much more mundane explanation for these features. Geologists point out that the pyramids are almost certainly natural rock formations known as nunataks. A nunatak is simply a mountain peak or ridge that protrudes above the surrounding glacier or ice sheet. These exposed rock formations are subject to intense erosion from wind, ice, and freeze-thaw cycles. Over long periods, this erosion, particularly frost wedging where water seeps into cracks, freezes, expands, and breaks the rock, can carve mountains into sharp, angular shapes, including forms that coincidentally resemble pyramids. The symmetrical appearance can result from erosion acting relatively evenly on homogeneous rock from multiple directions. Mountains like the Matterhorn in the Alps exhibit similar pyramidal shaping due to glacial erosion. Peering beneath the ice, radar revelations. If satellite images primarily show us what's poking through the ice, what about the vast secrets hidden beneath it? Antarctica's ice sheet is, on average, nearly 2 kilometers thick, reaching over 4 kilometers in some places. Exploring what lies on the bedrock underneath is a monumental challenge. In recent decades, however, technologies like ice-penetrating radar, IPR, seismic surveys, and other remote sensing methods have begun to paint a picture of the subglacial world, occasionally revealing features that fuel speculation about more than just rock and water. Ice-penetrating radar works by sending radio waves down through the ice. These waves reflect off different layers within the ice and, crucially, off the bedrock below. By analyzing the returning signals, scientists can map the topography of the land hidden beneath the ice sheet, measure the ice thickness, and even detect features within the ice itself, like layers of past snowfall or volcanic ash. This technology has been instrumental in revealing vast mountain ranges, like the Gambutsev Mountains, comparable in size to the European Alps, deep trenches, and significantly, hundreds of subglacial lakes. While most IPR data reveals expected geological features, some reports and interpretations have hinted at anomalies that proponents of lost civilizations seize upon. Occasionally, radar surveys reportedly detect unusually regular or geometric shapes on the bedrock. Some interpretations suggest patterns that seem unnatural, perhaps rectilinear outlines or clusters of features that don't easily fit standard geological explanations. For instance, unverified claims have sometimes surfaced, often in less formal online discussions or documentaries, about radar detecting large, flat areas with right-angled corners or dome-like structures beneath the ice in specific locations. These reports are often vague, lack peer-reviewed confirmation, and can be difficult to verify independently. Hidden worlds, subglacial lakes, and life's potential. While the search for artificial structures beneath the ice remains speculative, scientific exploration has definitively revealed something almost as astonishing: a vast interconnected network of hidden worlds within and under the Antarctic ice sheet. The discovery of hundreds of subglacial lakes, rivers, and wetland-like environments demonstrates that Antarctica is far from a static, lifeless wasteland beneath its frozen surface. This very real hidden complexity lends a certain plausibility to the idea that other secrets, perhaps even remnants of a different past, could also lie buried. The most famous of these hidden worlds is Lake Vostok, located deep beneath Russia's Vostok Station in East Antarctica. Discovered definitively in the 1990s using airborne radar and satellite altimetry, Lake Vostok is one of the largest lakes on Earth by volume and surface area, comparable in size to Lake Ontario. It lies nearly 4 kilometers, about 2.5 miles beneath the ice surface, insulated from the extreme cold above by the sheer thickness of the overlying ice and warmed from below by geothermal heat from the Earth's interior. The pressure is immense and the water temperature is estimated to be around -3 degrees Celsius, 27 degrees Fahrenheit, remaining liquid due to the high pressure. Lake Vostok is believed to have been isolated from the Earth's atmosphere for potentially millions of years, making it a unique time capsule. Drilling deep ice cores above the lake, stopping just short of the liquid water to avoid contamination, has provided invaluable climate data stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Scientists believe the lake itself might harbor unique ecosystems populated by extremophile microbes adapted to survive in perpetual darkness, high pressure, and low nutrient conditions, potentially using chemosynthesis rather than photosynthesis for energy. Preliminary analysis of refrozen lake water accretion ice collected from the bottom of the drill hole has indeed suggested the presence of diverse microbial DNA, though confirming the existence and nature of a thriving ecosystem requires direct sampling of the lake water, a technologically and environmentally challenging task. Warm spots in the cold, geothermal clues. Antarctica is synonymous with extreme cold. Yet beneath its vast kilometers-thick ice sheet, the continent is not uniformly frozen to its core. Scientific research has increasingly revealed the presence of significant geothermal heat flowing from the Earth's interior. This hidden warmth plays a crucial role in the continent's dynamics, influencing ice flow and creating unique subglacial environments. For those pondering the Atlantis in Antarctica theory, these geothermal hotspots offer intriguing possibilities. Could they have once sustained habitable zones or even helped preserve ancient remnants? Geothermal heat is the natural heat originating from within the Earth. It comes from the planet's formation and the radioactive decay of minerals in the mantle and crust. While this heat flow exists everywhere, its intensity varies geographically. In Antarctica, areas with thinner crust, such as rift valleys or regions with past or present volcanic activity, tend to exhibit higher geothermal heat flux. Researchers use various methods to detect and map this heat, including analyzing magnetic anomalies, seismic data, radar measurements of basal melt rates, and direct measurements in boreholes. Studies have identified several areas with surprisingly high heat flow. For example, beneath the Thwaites Glacier in West Antarctica, a region undergoing rapid melting and contributing significantly to sea level rise, researchers have measured geothermal heat flow up to 150 milliwatts per square meter, significantly higher than average continental values. Another known geothermal hotspot exists beneath Marie Byrd Land, potentially linked to a mantle plume, a column of hot rock rising from deep within the Earth. This heat is believed to be a major factor contributing to the extensive network of subglacial lakes and rivers found in West Antarctica, lubricating the base of the ice sheet and influencing its stability. The cold hard facts, scientific skepticism. While the idea of discovering Atlantis beneath the Antarctic ice is undeniably romantic and exciting, it's crucial to ground ourselves in the established scientific understanding of the continent. The overwhelming consensus within the mainstream scientific community based on decades of geological, glaciological, and paleontological research casts profound doubt on the Antarctic Atlantis theory. Several key lines of evidence contradict the notion of a technologically advanced civilization flourishing there around 9,600 BCE, only to be wiped out and buried by ice. Firstly, the geological history of Antarctica points to long-term glaciation. While the continent was indeed part of the warmer supercontinent Gondwana millions of years ago and supported forests and even dinosaurs, it began to drift south and cool significantly long before humans evolved. Major ice sheets started forming over 30 million years ago, and the continent has been substantially covered in ice for at least the last 15 million years. Evidence from ice cores, marine sediments, and glacial geology indicates that while the ice sheet has fluctuated in size, particularly during glacial-interglacial cycles, Antarctica has remained a polar ice-dominated continent throughout the entire span of human existence, including the timeframe Plato suggested for Atlantis. There is no credible geological evidence for a continent-wide, ice-free period around 9,600 BCE. Secondly, the theory of Earth crust displacement, proposed by Hapgood as a mechanism to move a temperate Atlantis to the pole rapidly, lacks broad acceptance among geologists. There's no established physical mechanism that could realistically cause the entire crust to slip so dramatically, and the evidence used to support it, like the interpretation of ancient maps, is highly contested. Plate tectonics, while slower, provides a well-understood framework for continental movement that aligns with vast amounts of geological data. Echoes of cataclysm, global myths, and polar origins. Even if direct physical evidence for Atlantis in Antarctica is lacking, proponents sometimes look for echoes of such a possibility in the realm of mythology and ancient traditions from around the world. Could the widespread occurrence of certain myths, particularly those involving great floods or lost Golden Age homelands, hint at a shared forgotten origin, perhaps connected to a cataclysm involving a polar civilization? This line of reasoning treads carefully into speculative territory, attempting to link disparate cultural narratives to the Antarctic Atlantis hypothesis. Great flood myths are remarkably common across diverse and geographically separate cultures. Stories like the biblical account of Noah's Ark, the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, featuring Utnapishtim surviving a deluge, the Greek myth of Deucalion and Pyrrha, Hindu tales of Manu and Matsya, and various accounts from indigenous cultures in the Americas, Australia, and Asia all describe a catastrophic flood that wiped out most of humanity, often sent as divine punishment, with only a few survivors chosen to repopulate the world. could these near-universal tales be distorted collective memories of a single, real global cataclysm? Some theorists connect these flood myths directly to the proposed destruction of Atlantis, suggesting the earthquakes and inundation Plato described were part of a larger global event, possibly linked to the end of the last ice age around 11,700 years ago and the rapid sea level rise caused by melting glaciers, or perhaps triggered by a more sudden event like Hapgood's crustal displacement. If Atlantis were a highly advanced, globally influential civilization located on a continent, Antarctica, that suffered a catastrophic shift or meltdown, its destruction could have generated tsunamis and climate shifts felt worldwide, embedding the trauma into the mythologies of surviving cultures. Furthermore, some myths speak of a lost paradise or ancestral homeland, often described as a place of peace and abundance, sometimes located in a specific direction like the north or south or associated with the stars. Could these be fragmented memories of a pre-cataclysmic world, with Antarctica, before its potential displacement and glaciation, being this forgotten motherland? Writers like Ignatius Donnelly in the 19th century and later authors influenced by Hapgood explored these potential connections, suggesting that survivors from a destroyed polar civilization might have spread across the globe, carrying foundational myths and knowledge with them. The quest continues future Antarctic exploration. Regardless of whether one believes in a lost Atlantean civilization beneath the ice, Antarctica remains one of the last truly unexplored frontiers on Earth. The scientific quest to understand its deep past, its hidden environments, and its crucial role in the global climate system is ongoing and constantly evolving, driven by technological advancements that allow us to probe deeper and with greater precision than ever before. What future expeditions uncover might intentionally or unintentionally shed light on the continent's history in ways that could either further debunk or perhaps unexpectedly lend credence to ancient mysteries. The exploration of subglacial environments is a major focus. Technologies like ice-penetrating radar continue to improve, offering higher resolution images of the bedrock topography and internal ice structures. Seismic surveys are becoming more sophisticated, helping to map not only the shape of the land beneath the ice, but also the nature of the rock and sediment layers, potentially revealing ancient geological features or lakebed deposits. Gravity and magnetic surveys provide complementary data about the underlying geological structures. Direct access to the subglacial world is the next major step. Projects aiming to drill cleanly through the ice sheet to sample subglacial lakes like Vostok, Mercer, or the newly targeted Lake CECs and Lake Snow Eagle are at the forefront of Antarctic science. These missions face immense technical hurdles, including drilling through kilometers of ice in extreme cold while strictly preventing contamination of the pristine environments below. Specialized hot water drills and robotic underwater vehicles, cryobots, are being developed and tested for this purpose. Successfully retrieving water and sediment samples from these isolated lakes could reveal unique microbial life forms, provide unprecedented records of past climate and ice sheet history locked in sediments, and offer insights into geological processes occurring deep beneath the ice.